All right, so now we're up to Unit 8, Lesson 5 here in Algebra. And as it says, this one is basically another lesson on completing the square, okay? But we're going to get challenging here, and you're going to have to focus on this and watch what I do here as we create this lesson. So I'm bouncing all the way to the end. We had a little lesson in class yesterday that taught you with direct instruction, and now this is finishing it up. One other little piece here, because you guys panic sometimes when you see certain things. And we're going to use the method completing the square here like it says. Get it into the vertex form eventually here, and we got to identify the turning point. But what I'm going to do is we're going to play with two today, just two short examples, a short video, on the negatives. We're going to put a negative out in front. So that's going to be the big key piece here. So all we do is this, as usual. I said, well, replace the y, get rid of it, and make it a 0. So we have a negative 2x squared plus 4x, and then move that 7 to the other side. So if I put a 0 in there, what's 0 minus 7? It's equal to a negative 7, okay? So I get the c basically on the other side. That's what we did. All right. Now, we do not want this negative 2 out in front with attached to the x squared. So we pull the whole thing out in front. Parentheses then. I want just an x squared. Now, here's where you got to get your thinking caps on. If you're taking a negative 2 out of x, negative 2x squared, no problem. These two multiply back, don't they? However, what happens when I take a negative 2 and you divide this by the negative 2? Well, I'm left with a negative 2x, aren't I? Okay? And then I'm going to leave my little parentheses there, equals, and the negative 7, of course, is on the other side. Go through your usual forms now. So we moved... Got set equal to 0, we move the c, then the next step is we always want that b divided by 2. So what's our b in this case? It's the thing in the parentheses here, so it's the negative 2. So what's a negative 2 divided by 2? Well, of course, that's equal to a negative 1. And then the next step is to now square that thing. So if I square a negative 1, I get a positive 1. You might be saying, oh yeah, Mr. Roy, just move a positive on the other side. No, what did we say the other day? We have to take this negative 2 out in front, and because we got to distribute it, it's inside, but to move it on the outside, it's got to come out of the parentheses, which means it's got to come out with the thing that's multiplying every one of these. So what's a negative 2 times a 1? You got it. It's a negative 2, okay? And that's the piece I'm going to add to both sides. So I'll put a negative 2 on the other side. Then from there, I got my negative 2. You can use your AC method on the whole thing, or way back when, what was by b divided by 2, a negative 1. I like to bring that down, remember. Put an x out in front of it, put a square on it, and it's the same thing. If I do the AC method here, it's x minus 1 times x minus 1, and that will give me exactly in that parentheses. Equals, the other side's a negative 9. Okay? That's our goal in the future. But right now, they want vertex form, so I have to take the extra step to come back, and I add 9 back. You get negative 2 times x minus 1 being squared plus a 9 equals nothing, or equals y if you want to put it that way. What's my vertex? That's called vertex form. So my vertex is the opposite what's inside here. So my x is shifting. It says minus 1, which means it's actually going the opposite. It's going right 1. And then my y is the part here. It's going up 9. That's my vertex. They want to know if it's a max or a min. Go back to the original. What was in front of the x squared? It's a negative. If it's a negative, remember, it's upside down. So what is this thing going to be? It's going to be a max. Okay? So those are the two key pieces here that you wanted at the end. These are our answers that they wanted for the solution. Taking a good time. Don't be afraid to rewatch this video a couple times if you need to catch what I did. I'm going to go over to the other example. We're going to go to one more, and then you're on your own. We'll go talk in class. So as promised, we're going to do another one. We take our time again. So once again, I got y equals. I don't want y equals. I'm going to replace that with 0. We want to know what's going on the x-axis, where those roots are. And I also don't like the 33 here, so I will bring 33, bring it over here to the other side by adding 33 if you need to show it. So I get a negative x squared minus a 12x equals a positive 33. I just flipped the whole thing around because I don't like my 33 on the left side. I like that number on the right side. What don't I like in front of the x squared here? Well, it's a negative sign. A negative what? Well, it's a -1. Isn't that an unwritten 1? So I am going to pull that out. -1 goes into there. You pull it out, you're left with the x squared. If I take a -1 out of here, I am left with a positive 12x. Leave a little space there. Equals 33. Okay, so all I did was clean up the left side. Getting ready for completing the square here. Well, what's my b this time? It's a 12. So I'm going to take 12. Remember, b divided by 2. So that's 12 divided by 2. What is 12 divided by 2? It's 6. I like to write that down so I don't have to think about the factoring the AC method in a minute. But it's your choice again. 6, I have to take the b divided by 2, and I have to square it. So what do I have to square? 36. It turns out to be 36. So I add 36. Now, I added 36 on this side. But to move it on the other side and add 36, you got to take a look at it once again. To pull it out of this parentheses, what's out in front? A negative sign. So what's a -1 right here times the 36? And you got it. It's a -36 on this side. That balances it out in order to get it out of the parentheses. Next step, I already started doing it. Once again, if you want to use your AC method on this and factor it, you will get x plus 6 and x plus 6. I like to write it ahead of time with that 6 from way back here after I did b divided by 2. I throw it with an x in front of it in parentheses and square it. Do not lose that -1 that's out in front. And that, of course, is going to equal, well, what's 33 minus 36? A -3. That's completing the square. However, once again, right now we're focusing on vertex. So we need, if a vertex form, I got to get everything on one side. So we will bring the 3 back over. It's an extra step for now, but in the long run, we're much better adding the same thing on both sides type thing. So I've got a -1 times an x plus 6 squared plus a 3 equals nothing. So once again, that's called vertex form. And I want just the vertex. So the vertex we said is what's inside parentheses. What's the shift here with the x? Looks like plus 6, but it's the opposite, so we're going to go left 6. And the y part up and down, it says to go 3. So there's my vertex. And of course, if I got a negative out in front, way back here in the beginning, look at that negative sign. What does that mean? You're right. It means upside down. So that means I've got a max. Keep in mind, nothing wrong with throwing this whole darn thing right here into your calculator and taking a look at it and make sure this all matches out, but make sure the vertex did come out exactly that way. I would do it if I was in your shoes. Check to make sure you did it right. Okay, hope you had a good one. Got a long lesson, not a long lesson, short one, 8 minutes or so on 2 problems, but we took our time to explain everything thoroughly. So have a good one. We're going to play with all 3 types. We're going to complete the square in class tomorrow all over the place. Have a good night.